This is Jamie Chu. We are at the Art Fair, CTN at the Art Fair 2023. So I'm here with Michael. Michael, can you tell us about your experience at the Art Fair so far?
Well, so far, in the past, I've been volunteering. In fact, I volunteer tomorrow, and I'm a booth sitter, and I get to do that tomorrow, and it'll be really fun. And I love this art fair so much. It really brings Ann Arbor together. It really feels like one big family, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what would you say is your favorite thing about attending the art fair and also volunteering at the art fair?
Volunteering, I like giving back to the community. And in terms of the art here, I love the sculptures. And actually, I might buy one before I leave today. And I really like the abstract artwork that they have. It is so unique and very eye-catching.
Very nice. So what would you say is your favorite area to kind of hang out in? Because there's 3 fairs together, right? So what's kind of your favorite section to hang out in?
I think all of them really, but if I could pick a favorite, I would say the Ann Arbor Art Fair, the original, on State Street and William.
Beautiful.
Or wherever it is. I'm not a map person.
Neither am I. I'm very terrible with directions. So what is your experience like over the years? How have you seen the art fair change and evolve? How have you seen that kind of happen over the years?
Well, yes, the art fair has definitely changed over time, and it's gotten bigger and better, and I hope it continues to be better each year. That's one way to make me come back.
All right, and what do you think is uniquely Ann Arbor about the Ann Arbor Art Fair?
What is uniquely Ann Arbor? Well, it's held in a great city that's home to the University of Michigan, and it's not every day that this happens, so why don't you come on down? You're gonna have a blast. And yesterday's weather was not very pleasant at all in the afternoon. I was here in the morning, but then I heard the tornado sirens. That really caught me off guard, and they told them it was an evacuation precaution to have them evacuate the art fair. It was not a tornado warning, so I was a little concerned about that while the sirens were starting up all of a sudden. But then it literally blew out, and the sky turned bright blue again, and it was sunny, and oh my gosh, it was so beautiful evening.
Yeah. Welcome to Michigan, right? That's kind of the daily here.
And before we close, I have one little fact for you.
Sure.
I am a public address announcer here in the Ann Arbor area. I do PA announcing for Ann Arbor Pioneer. I help with a few of their sporting events, including football, a little bit of football. I've done baseball, soccer, basketball, volleyball. And I also do announcing for St. Thomas the Apostle Elementary / middle school or / high school now. It's going to be, I help out with their volleyball as well as their basketball, a few of their selected games based on my crazy work schedule and class schedule. So I love announcing and giving back to the team and helping out the community when they need it. And I also, the last fact I'd like to say is I play pipe organ as well as piano.
Okay.
So
multifaceted man.
And I would like to be just like Mr. B, the piano man on North University. He is really good with the keys. And
yeah, for sure.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for the interview.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today, Michael.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Hi there from the Art Fair. So I am here with Charlene. Charlene, can you tell us a little bit about the medium that you work in and why you chose it?
This is fused glass, and I've always had a love for the glass work, and I just made it into my own. I grew up in the sea situation, growing up in Texas on the Gulf Coast, and I did what I knew in glass, and it's always resonated with me.
Beautiful. And what made you choose the Ann Arbor Art Fair specifically?
Well, it's close to home, and it also has a good reputation over several years. This is our 5th year doing the art festival, and we live in Kentucky. So we come up here during the summertime, and I love all my collectors in this area.
And how's the drive up here?
It was really good. No problems in traffic, no road closures on the way up here. Very smooth and easy. Didn't want a tank of gas, too.
And how would you say you package your goods when you come up here? Because I understand it's obviously glass, very fragile. How does that work for you?
Well, we have long containers, and the containers lay flat, and we put a layer of artwork and then bubble wrap, a layer of artwork and bubble wrap, and they all stack in the van. And we bring them out, put them out, pull everything up, and we start hanging up on the walls with the hooks.
Beautiful. And what would you say is your favorite piece, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
I can't, it's hard to pick. Look. I love all of them. To me, it's just, my artwork makes the ocean. You can decorate a wall with one piece, or you can do a conglomerate of pieces, as you can see here. You can buy one piece and then add to it every year and come back and choose a new piece to add to that, and then just start your collection with that.
Love that. No, that's great. What would you say is the process for creating one of your pieces? Just like the standard, what does that feel like for you?
Well, what I do is I draw my own patterns and designs, and I cut all the pieces out individually. And from that, I arrange them on a shelf, and I tack glue them and go back and paint with ground glass and fire my pieces. And once they are fired, they go up to about 1400 degrees in the kiln. It's a staging where it goes up and then it holds, it goes up and it holds until it gets to 1400 degrees, and it'll hold for like 8 minutes. And then it comes down like 200 degrees an hour until it finishes. And then once the pieces are done, I wash them and either put a copper rod on the back of them or a hanger to hang on the wall. Nice. So they're ready to go for everybody when you come.
I love it. And how would you describe just an average day of running a booth at the art fair here?
Busy, crazy. People love this stuff because it lasts for years. People who have my garden art here, they come back and repurchase new ones every year because they see how well they lend out in the garden. Because myself and my customers, we've had these in our gardens for over 20 years now.
And what would you say would be your most popular selling item then? Would it be the lawn ornaments?
Here it's a conglomerate of everything. The garden art, I have something for everybody. My prices start at $10 and then go on up to about $300 each piece. So it's not unaffordable. Right. So everybody could take something home with them. They feel like they were able to purchase something at the art fair.
Absolutely. And what would you say makes this art fair uniquely Ann Arbor?
I would say the people. Because we get people from all over the United States. We're all over from here to Wisconsin, I've talked to people. So this is something that people make an annual event for their families. They come in town and just hang out and play with the art fair and buy art.
I'm Dana Denha, host of Ann Arbor's news magazine program, FYI. Tune in every week for new episodes featuring a variety of topics on the city and county. Mack Indoor Pool is the only City of Ann Arbor Parks indoor public pool and offers a variety of programs and opportunities for every swimmer. The pool is located inside of Mack School, which is known today as Ann Arbor Open at Mack School. The school was originally built in 1922, and in the years since, it has gone from being Ann Arbor's newest school building to its oldest. The pool, added in 1974, features a 6-lane, 25-yard main pool with an attached 30 by 42-foot children's tot pool. A ramp leading into the pool provides for easy accessibility. The heated indoor pool provides a summer-like experience, even in the cold winter months. For more, visit a2gov.org/MAC.
This is CTN at the 2023 Art Fair, and I am here with Mike Maydak. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. I come back here every year, and I absolutely love your work. Your style is extremely distinct. The line work, the composition. I mean, can you tell me about some of your inspirations, some of your process?
Yeah, so I have a couple different types of artwork. I do a lot of pop culture artwork, so something that you'd be familiar with, like, Star Wars, Marvel, sort of icons, But I come from a comic book background, so I have a very sort of graphic, cartoony feel to it. So, like I said, I have this type of artwork here, and then I also do my own sort of original content, fantasy world building, where I, create environments and different characters that are all part of the same world, and I have different prints, and I sort of like, I create images that you kind of have to, a lot of detail in them, and you have to spend some time there and almost like tell yourself a story. So so that's sort of my goal. So I have a couple different type genres of sort of artwork, kind of hit everybody's likes a little bit. But yeah, so I got some pop culture as well as original content.
Incredible, incredible. One thing I really love about your work definitely is the world building, but also, as you said, the detail. And one thing I am so drawn to is the way you draw hands.
Oh.
It's blocky. I love the knuckles. How did you develop that? What was?
You got that one right in front there. I don't know. It was just, hands are so hard. They're still hard. I've been drawing hands all my life, and no matter what, like once you get to the hands, it's always extra time on the hands. And hands are actually a part of your expression, and especially, I mean, you have your face, but the way you use your hands. And so when I do these paintings, you only have so much room, and what do you do with the hands are very important in like expressing that character. So they do sometimes get out of control and big and blocky. I don't even know that happened. Like years later, I'll look at it and I'll be like, what the heck was I thinking? But I mean, it still works, But
no, that was 100% meant to be a compliment. I love them.
No,
They're awesome.
I didn't take it as an insult. No, it was
I want to talk about some of your original content, some of the world building that you do, fantasy elements. I see you're inspired by Star Wars, space. Are some of the fantasy elements behind us? Is this your original?
Yeah,
okay,
this is all the original
this is
stuff.
where we are.
So, this stuff is just me regurgitating everything I loved in my life in an original way as I can. Like everything comes from something, but like with all this, I try to like give it an original like feel to it. And so, growing up, I was really into. I didn't play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I played a little bit, but I just really loved that escapism. And so I played like Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, those sort of isometric RPGs, and where you walk around. And then I love the like cross-section books where you can like, they'll cut something in half. Even like the how-to books, so like how something works. I just, because visually it tells a story. And so I just combined that all with what I'm doing here. I'm doing cross-sections of fantasy worlds that just exist in my head, and just try to keep on building on it so I have a whole world. So I actually have a book that collects all this, and is sort of a guidebook to it as well.
That's very, very cool. So what is this world called? Like, do you give them names, or do you allow for the reader, the viewer, to give it names? Like,
well, so when I'm selling the artwork, I'm very I don't want to give too much narrative. Like my book does have some narrative. Even how I wrote my book, I'm not very heavy. I'm just sort of light on it. So again, I want you to participate and create that story. And even some writings that I do have in it, I put it in an alphabet that I made myself. And so cool. It says something, but like this says wizard, but you don't know that. I didn't want to label it wizard, but I wanted to create that world of have their own alphabet in this world, or this. It's not really an alphabet; it's just a font that's symbolism. But yeah, but definitely I try to keep it open to interpretation.
That's incredible. No, anytime especially this right here with the.
Great story about this one.
I'm ready.
Okay, all right. So this one is the illustration for my Kickstarter supporters for the book. All right, yes. So I did they're going to list of their names as a who help support me make the book financially. And so instead of just listing their names, I did an illustration and I put all their names in this special alphabet. And I gave them a decoder card and they had to go and find it.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And I have a little wisecrack in the book about like what it is. But yeah, it's just way too much work probably. But
No,
I wanted to keep the world in the world. I didn't want to break the world. And these are people that gave money, but so yeah.
No, this is exactly the kind of participation, connection between audience and artists that will build loyalty across time. So this is awesome. This is very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up this interview?
No, yeah, thanks for the interview. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the time.
All right, I am here with Barry, and I am going to ask you some fun questions about your ceramics. So, what does the process look like for creating one of your pieces?
Well, I do raku firing. It's a certain technique that initially started at the end of the 14th century in Japan, and it basically it was about tea bowls and the elite would they got this idea that we'll use the raku things to remind us of poverty, where we came from, which is kind of absurd because they were born, they weren't born into poverty. But anyway, and the initial pieces were little tea bowls, and the glaze would be lopsided and it would be cracked and stuff like that. So it really looked just like a thing. And then in the 1960s, this instructor in Colorado was explaining the process, was demonstrating the process, and what it involves is pulling the pieces out of the kiln at red hot and cooling them real quickly in water. On the way over to the bucket with the water, he dropped the piece and so it burned the leaves or whatever around it, and it left a pattern, and people went, oh, that was kind of cool. So flash to now, where it's done kind of like that, except that there are materials to use. Now what I do is I go way beyond all that, which started as a simple process, now is a very complex process, a lot of little steps all together. And for instance, I do 2 layers of glaze. Each one is fired separately in an electric kiln. So I do 2 electric kiln firings, and then I do the raku firing. And I found that if I fire the pieces more than once, the colors get more dramatic and brighter. And so you can see, I get colors that nobody else gets because I know, because I've learned, what to do. And generally, because it's a very quick process where you pull the pieces out and cool it real quickly. It's very stressful on the clay. So it took me about 3 years to develop the clay body that you could use that they wouldn't crack when after the first firing. And I can fire these. Well, I can fire them 10 times if I'm careful, but no. That's too much. So basically, I try and do 2 raku firings. The first one, they're dark, and then they get brighter. So 2 or 3 firings, and you can see the colors. Like for instance, here, see this? See? You can see.
Wow.
See the coloration.
And that's from the raku firing specifically?
Yes, and it happens in the cooling part.
Oh, okay.
At some point, so I'm pulling the pieces out of the kiln, 1,800 degrees.
Oh, wow.
That's not hot.
It's not?
2,300.
Sometimes it is.
20. Well, yeah, but 20 in ceramics, 2,400. That'd be porcelain.
Okay.
And then on the low end, it'd be around 1,800 degrees. So I pull the pieces out, and then I use hardwood sawdust, some combustible material, in a garbage can. How elegant is that? Yeah, I know. So you got the sawdust in there, and if you notice, all the bottoms have those marks. Well, it ignites, okay, and then I put the lid on the garbage can, that cuts off the oxygen around the piece, which turns the copper carbonate in the glaze to copper color, to copper. So the whole piece is copper, all these pieces, and then at some point I open the lid and the colors start to change, and you have to anticipate it happening, because if you watch it happens, it's too late and you don't get any color. So, and I've only done it like 500 or 1,000 times, so I kind of know what to do, and so and then about an hour later, I look at it and I go, oh, this is really great, or I go, this is not so good. And sometimes it's like, oh no, I'll never get this again.
Yeah. Once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and there are pieces like that. So, so that's my story. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. So how long did it take for you to learn and hone these skills?
Oh, 30 years.
Just 30 years?
Well, you can, listen, it's the kind of thing, you ever do cross-country skiing? I mean, you can put the skis on without having done it, and you can go out and ski, and then there'll be somebody like that'll zoom past you. Well, you can do this immediately. In fact, they have these, I can do a workshop and a basic glaze and put it on an end fire, and they all love it. This takes just to figure out little things. I mean, I use a digital barometer. I know the temperatures, but that all changes because there's all these things that are acting on it, like the temperature outside, humidity, what kind of combustible material you use. There's all these things that work on this for the color. So I have to adjust. I've done this a lot, so I just it works. Eventually, I don't know, I just do it and they come out. Actually, sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 days before I get anything decent.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, because I might be in a bad mood, so I'm opening the can too early, or then I open it, then I'm compensating, I'm opening it too late. But once I start, it's a one after another. They end up being great. And I've never done an art fair where I didn't have really good pieces.
Okay.
Even to the point where I remember one year coming here, and people were I could see them driving out of town, and I'm still firing pots because I don't have anything, and I actually finished, packed it all up, and left. I drove all night and got here in the morning to set up. But that's when I was younger and could do that. I don't do that anymore.
That's totally fair. The stamina.
Yeah, right. So this was close because I've been selling everything at every event, every show that I've been doing. So I had 7 days between the last one and here to get ready, and I'm counting the days. Okay, I got 6 days where if I do everything right, I can get it done in 6 days. Well, it never, it takes a little longer. So I usually pack up one day and sleep and then drive the next day. But this time I had to pack in the morning and then drive and then get here at night, and so it was a little touchy, but I did come up with, I think my pieces are okay.
Yeah, they look great. So what would you say is your favorite piece? I see you pointing at this one. Yeah, and can you kind of talk about the process for that specific piece?
Well, okay. This is all, I only use one glaze.
Okay.
So the whole thing, and it comes down to the timing as to what colors you get and stuff like that. So when you're asking me what my favorite pieces are,
or at least most labor intensive.
Well, it's all the same.
That's true.
Listen, labor, a small piece and a large piece, it's the same amount of time.
Oh, that makes
yeah,
sense, 'cause you have to
2 weeks to make a piece.
Wow. Okay.
I like this one a lot, just because of the way the colors work into here, and this one. Okay. And I like this one because of the magenta colors. Where'd that come from? Occasionally you get that I never get. I mean, I've never gotten. All of a sudden, I'm getting magenta.
Right.
Which is nice. I like this piece. So that's what I'm looking. And I like this one on the.
And what would you say made you pick the Ann Arbor Art Fair to display your work at?
That's a really great question. Okay. When I was 15 years old, way back in the 1800s, and Ann Arbor was just 2 streets, Southview and Eastview, and all the artists were museum quality. I grew up in Detroit. Me and my friends we thought we were intellectuals. So what were we going to do? In the summertime, we'd come over to the Ann Arbor Art Fair, and that's kind of how it started. That's,
The inception, the origin story.
Yeah, that was the thing, and so we'd come here, and be really cool, and so it always stuck in my head. So this was the first event. So, and in those days, when let's say you went to college and then actually I got my degree in economics, but
nice.
We don't deal with that. We don't talk about that. And then I took art classes afterwards. But in those days, in like north suburbs of Detroit, you didn't arrive unless you did the Ann Arbor Art Fair. You weren't taken seriously. The Ann Arbor Art Fair was the place that well, since then it's changed, but
Yes.
but well, it's become this monstrosity.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that's
Yeah, so it used to be kind of like a rite of passage into the art world.
That's right. So, and I was part of that. I got in. So, I always took it as a grain of salt.
We love the energy. So, how do you pack all your stuff up and take it down here?
Carefully.
I know. Yeah.
Listen, I'm always, in terms of leaving, I'm always the last one, because if I don't pack this stuff up really well, and if somebody buys something, I pack it up really well.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful, because they are somewhat fragile, and you could, I could chip it. So I've learned over time. All you have to do is break a few of them and go, well, maybe I better learn what to do, And I've shipped them all over the world. I've shipped I have pieces in Japan and Europe and stuff like that. So when you're shipping thousands of miles, you better get it right. So yeah, and because it's embarrassing, and I've had this experience way back when I was younger, when you pack it up and you send it 1,000 miles and it ends up breaking. Oh, and the other thing about shipping is, don't write fragile on the box. Fragile in UPS speak means kick. Let's drop it from the highest point, and let's see if it bounces or breaks. So I never write fragile on the box. Anyway. Another question?
Is there anything that I might have missed that you wanted to add about the process, your experience here running a booth?
No, you covered it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barry. Appreciate your time.
This is the same thing I tell customers when they come in. I tell all these same stories and other stories. I got stories about it.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.